Hi, I'm Jason, and welcome back to channel Better Talk English, where we make English simple, practical, and real. Today, we're talking about a mistake that many learners make without realizing it. You study grammar for hours, but still struggle to speak. If that sounds like you, this episode will help you change that. Let's fix it together. Many learners believe grammar is the most important part of learning English. They spend a lot of time memorizing rules and structures. It feels productive because you are studying seriously. But when it's time to speak, everything becomes difficult. This is where the problem begins. The issue is not that grammar is bad. Grammar is useful and important in the right amount. But too much focus on it creates imbalance in your learning. You start thinking instead of speaking naturally, and this slows you down in real conversations. When you try to speak, your brain searches for the correct rule. You think about tenses, sentence structure, and word order. This takes time and breaks your flow. Instead of speaking smoothly, you pause too much. That is why your speech feels slow and unnatural. Real conversations do not wait for perfect grammar. People speak quickly and respond in real time. There is no time to analyze every sentence. If you depend on grammar too much, you cannot keep up. This creates stress and frustration. Another problem is that grammar study often becomes passive learning. You read rules, do exercises, and understand them on paper, but you do not practice using them in real life. This means your knowledge stays inactive, and inactive knowledge does not help you speak. Many learners also feel afraid of making grammar mistakes. They want every sentence to be correct. This pressure makes speaking even harder. You become too careful and lose confidence. Instead of communicating, you focus on avoiding errors. The truth is that communication is more important than perfection. If people understand your message, you are already successful. Small grammar mistakes are normal and expected. Even native speakers make them sometimes, so you should not let grammar control your speaking. So, what should you do instead of focusing only on grammar? The answer is simple. Focus on usage. Learn how English is actually used in real situations. Pay attention to common phrases and patterns. This will help you speak more naturally. Instead of memorizing single words, learn full expressions. For example, learn phrases like "I'm going to" or "I need to." These patterns are used all the time in conversations. When you learn them as a whole, you speak faster. You also sound more natural. Listening is another powerful tool you should use more. When you listen to natural English, you hear how sentences are formed. Your brain starts to recognize patterns automatically. This reduces the need to think about grammar rules. It builds a natural understanding of the language. You can also practice by repeating what you hear. This method is called shadowing, and it is very effective. Listen to a sentence and repeat it immediately. Try to copy the pronunciation and rhythm. This connects listening with speaking. Speaking daily is still one of the most important habits. You do not need perfect grammar to start. Just use what you already know. The more you speak, the more comfortable you become. Practice turns knowledge into skill. Another helpful idea is to keep your sentences simple. You do not need complex grammar to communicate clearly. Simple sentences are easier to use and understand. They help you build confidence step by step. As you improve, complexity will come naturally. If you reduce your focus on grammar and increase your focus on usage, you will see a big change. Speaking will feel easier and more natural. You will think less and express more. And most importantly, You will enjoy the process more. That is how real progress begins. One important thing to understand is that grammar should support your speaking, not block it. Many learners treat grammar like the main goal instead of a tool. This creates unnecessary pressure during conversations. When you shift your focus, speaking becomes much easier. You start using English instead of analyzing it. Think about how children learn their first language. They do not study grammar rules before speaking. They listen, copy, and use simple sentences again and again. Over time, they naturally improve their accuracy. This is a powerful lesson for language learners. You can follow a similar path. Another problem with too much grammar study is that it feels safe. You sit, read, and understand rules without any pressure. But real communication is not safe or controlled like that. It requires quick thinking and response. If you only study, you are not preparing for real situations. You are staying in your comfort zone. To improve, you need to step out of that comfort zone. Start using English even when you feel unsure. Accept that your sentences may not be perfect. The goal is to express your ideas clearly. With time, your accuracy will improve naturally. Action creates improvement. Let's talk about how to use grammar in a smarter way. Instead of learning everything at once, focus on basic structures first. Use them repeatedly in different situations. This builds a strong foundation for your speaking. It also reduces confusion. Simple systems work better. For example, focus on common sentence patterns you use every day. Practice them until they feel automatic. You do not need to think about rules every time. Your brain starts to remember them naturally. This is how fluency begins to develop. Repetition makes it easier. Another useful strategy is to learn grammar through examples. When you see a sentence, don't just understand it. Try to use it in your own way. Change the words, but keep the structure. This helps you understand how grammar works in real life. It becomes practical. You should also combine grammar with speaking practice. After learning something new, try to say a few sentences using it. This connects theory with action. Without this step, knowledge stays passive. Practice activates what you learn. That is the key difference. Listening to natural English content can also improve your grammar. You hear correct sentence structures again and again. Your brain starts to recognize patterns without effort. This builds intuition over time. You begin to feel what sounds right. Don't worry if you don't understand everything while listening. Focus on general meaning and common phrases. Over time, your understanding will grow. You will notice repeated structures more easily. This strengthens your language sense. Learning becomes smoother. Speaking regularly is still the most powerful method. Every time you speak, you test your knowledge. You see what you can use and what you need to improve. This feedback is very valuable. It helps you grow faster. You can also create small daily speaking challenges. For example, talk about your day or your plans. Try to use simple and clear sentences. Don't stop to think too much about grammar. Keep your flow going. This builds confidence. Another helpful habit is asking yourself questions in English, then answer them out loud. This creates a mini conversation in your mind. It trains your brain to respond quickly. Over time, this becomes automatic. You think less and speak more. You should also accept that mistakes are part of this process. They are not something to avoid completely. They show you where you need to improve. If you keep practicing, those mistakes will decrease. Improvement comes with time. If you follow these ideas, your relationship with grammar will change. It will no longer feel like a heavy burden. Instead, it will become a helpful support tool. You will speak more freely and naturally, and that is the real goal of learning English. As you continue improving, you will notice that your confidence starts to grow. This happens because you're using English more actively. Instead of thinking about rules, you begin to focus on communication. That shift makes speaking feel lighter and easier. Confidence is built through repeated action. Many learners make the mistake of going back to heavy grammar study when they feel stuck. They think more rules will solve the problem, but often the real issue is lack of practice. Adding more theory does not fix a practical problem. What you need is more real usage. At this stage, it is helpful to trust simple language. You do not need complex sentences to express your ideas. Clear and simple English is often more effective. It helps you speak faster and with less stress. Simplicity builds fluency. You should also start noticing how native speakers actually talk. They do not always use perfect grammar in casual conversations. They use shortcuts, contractions, and simple patterns. This makes their speech faster and more natural. Learning this style can help you a lot. Another powerful step is to repeat useful phrases daily. When you repeat something many times, it becomes automatic. You no longer need to think before saying it. This saves time during conversations. It also improves your fluency. You can create your own list of daily phrases. These can be sentences you use often in real life. Practice them every day until they feel natural. This builds a strong speaking base. It also reduces hesitation. Listening and speaking together is still very important. When you hear something useful, try to repeat it immediately. This connects input and output. It trains your brain to respond faster. Over time, your reactions become more natural. Another helpful idea is to focus on meaning first, not form. When you speak, think about what you want to say. Do not worry too much about how perfect it sounds. Communication comes before correctness. This keeps your speech flowing. If you stop too often to fix grammar, you break your rhythm. Conversations are about flow and connection. It is better to finish your idea with small mistakes. You can always improve later. Flow is more important in the moment. You should also give yourself permission to be a learner. You do not need to sound perfect right now. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner. Progress takes time and practice. Be patient with yourself. Try to make English part of your daily environment. Surround yourself with simple content like videos or conversations. This keeps your brain familiar with the language. The more exposure you have, the easier it becomes. Familiarity builds confidence. It is also useful to track your small improvements. Notice when speaking becomes easier or faster. These small wins are important. They show that your effort is working. This keeps you motivated. Another idea is to speak even when you are not sure. Waiting for certainty will only slow you down. Take the risk and express your thoughts. Even if it's not perfect, it's still progress. Action creates growth. You should also reduce the habit of translating in your head. This often happens when you rely too much on grammar rules. Try to connect ideas directly with English words. This makes your thinking faster. It improves your speaking speed. As you keep practicing this way, grammar will still improve naturally. You will start using correct structures without thinking. This is a sign of real fluency. Your brain is learning through usage, and that is the most effective way to grow. At this stage, you may start to feel that speaking is becoming more natural. This is a sign that your brain is adapting to using English actively. You are no longer depending only on rules to form sentences. Instead, you are relying on patterns and experience. This shift is very important for fluency. Many learners are surprised when they realize they can speak without thinking about grammar. It feels strange at first, but also exciting. This is how real communication works in any language. Your brain starts choosing words automatically. That is the result of consistent practice. However, some learners still go back to overthinking when they face difficulty. They stop and try to fix every small mistake. This breaks their speaking flow and confidence. It is better to keep going and finish your idea. You can always improve later. One helpful technique is to focus on message first, then accuracy later. When you speak, try to express your idea clearly. Do not stop in the middle to correct yourself too much. After you finish, you can reflect and improve. This keeps your communication natural. Another important habit is to expose yourself to natural English every day. This includes podcasts, videos, or conversations. When you listen regularly, you absorb sentence patterns without effort. Your brain starts to copy these patterns automatically. This supports your speaking ability. Try to choose content that matches your level. If it is too difficult, you may feel lost. If it is too easy, you may not learn much. The right level keeps you engaged and improving. Balance is important in learning. Repeating what you hear is still a powerful method. It helps you practice pronunciation and sentence flow. You also learn how words connect in real speech. This improves your overall fluency. It is a simple but effective technique. You can also slow down audio and practice step by step. Focus on small parts of speech. Repeat them until you feel comfortable. This builds confidence gradually. Small steps lead to big progress. Speaking with others can also improve your grammar naturally. In conversations, you hear correct responses from others. You also notice how they structure their sentences. This gives you real examples to learn from. Interaction makes learning more dynamic. Do not worry if you make mistakes in front of others. Most people understand that you are learning. They are usually patient and supportive. Every conversation is a chance to improve. Mistakes are part of that process. Another idea is to keep your practice simple and consistent. Do not try to learn everything at once. Focus on using what you already know. This builds a strong foundation. From there, you can expand naturally. You should also celebrate small improvements. Maybe you spoke faster or with more confidence. These are important signs of progress. Recognizing them keeps you motivated. Motivation helps you stay consistent. Try to stay relaxed while speaking. Tension makes it harder to think clearly. When you are calm, your words come more easily. Confidence grows in a relaxed state. This improves your communication. Remember that fluency is a long-term process. There is no instant result or shortcut, but with daily practice, progress is guaranteed. Every step you take brings improvement. Consistency always wins. As you continue this journey, your focus should remain on communication. Grammar will improve along the way. What matters most is that you keep using English. That is how fluency becomes natural. Keep practicing and keep moving forward. At this point, you should start feeling more comfortable expressing your thoughts in English. It may not be perfect, but it is more natural than before. This shows that your practice is working. You are building real communication skills. That is more valuable than knowing many rules. Sometimes you may still feel unsure while speaking. This is normal and part of the learning process. Even advanced learners experience this feeling occasionally. The important thing is to keep going anyway. Confidence grows with repeated action. You should remind yourself that grammar is not the enemy. It is simply a tool that supports your communication. When used correctly, it helps you become clearer. But when overused, it can slow you down. Balance is the key. Instead of avoiding grammar completely, use it in a practical way. Learn small parts and apply them immediately. This makes learning more effective. You understand how grammar works in real situations. It becomes useful instead of heavy. Another helpful idea is to review your mistakes after speaking. Think about what you could say better next time. This reflection helps you improve step by step. But do not interrupt yourself too much during speaking. Keep your flow first. You can also keep a small notebook for useful phrases. Write down expressions you hear or use often. Review them regularly and try to use them again. This builds your active vocabulary. It also supports your fluency. Listening remains one of your strongest tools at this stage. It helps you stay connected to natural English. You continue learning without feeling like you are studying. This keeps your progress smooth and consistent. Exposure is very powerful. Try to challenge yourself with slightly more difficult content. This pushes your understanding further. It also introduces new sentence patterns. Your brain adapts to higher levels over time. Growth comes from challenge. Speaking regularly should still be your main focus. The more you use English, the stronger your skills become. It turns passive knowledge into active ability. This is what fluency is built on. Practice keeps everything alive. You should also enjoy the process more now. When learning becomes enjoyable, you stay consistent longer. Find topics and content you like. This makes practice feel natural. Enjoyment increases motivation. Another important point is to accept slow progress. Some days will feel easier than others. This is completely normal in language learning. What matters is that you do not stop. Consistency always brings results. You may notice that you start thinking in English more often. This is a big step forward. It means your brain is adapting to the language. You are no longer translating everything. This makes speaking faster. Keep using simple and clear language when speaking. There is no need to impress others with complex sentences. Clarity is more important than complexity. Simple communication is effective communication. This builds confidence. Over time, your grammar will naturally improve through usage. You will start forming correct sentences without thinking. This is a sign of real progress. Your brain is learning patterns automatically. This is how fluency develops. Continue practicing, stay consistent, and trust the process. You have already made strong progress by changing your approach. Keep focusing on communication instead of perfection. With time, your English will become more natural and confident. Just keep moving forward. All right, that's it for today's episode. I hope this helped you see that studying too much grammar is not the solution to fluency. Start focusing more on speaking, listening, and using real English in your daily life. Remember, progress comes from action, not perfection. If you found this useful, make sure to keep practicing and apply what you learned today. Try to speak a little every day, and don't be afraid of making mistakes. That's how real improvement happens. Stay consistent, and you will see results. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep moving forward.